Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is Wednesday, the 11th of February 2026. My name's Graham Hughes. You're watching Morning Brew on Politics Social. Good day. Good day to you all. We've got some wonderful people in the chat. We've got Martin Harrow in there. We've got Biddy Kershaw. We've got Diz and Chris C. We've got Graham Haller, Lost Missionary. Hello. Liam Fairhurst, Saz, Chris. Thank you for coming along this morning to join us for the show. All you have to do if you want to join our friends here in the chat is hit the subscribe button and wait for a minute and you'll be able to join in the chat, but don't be a troll. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about QAnon. Why? Is that a bit old hat, Graham? I mean, seriously, QAnon, what's that got to do with the price of fish these days? Well, funny you should ask, because the silence from the QAnon whack jobs over on Reddit and 4chan is deafening. In the wake of the Epstein scandal, you would have expected them to be going absolutely, doing a victory lap, jumping up and down, climbing to the top of a very tall mountain and screaming, "I was right! There was a VIP paedophile ring! I knew it! I knew it!" But they're not. They're not. Now, the question I have for you is, how come? How come? What's going on there? Can we get down to this? Why this cult that grew up just before the first term of Trump's office was instrumental in getting him into office? This guy who ran around with his fucking Viking helmet on around the Capitol building in Washington, D.C., called himself the QAnon shaman, or at least that's what the media called him. This is a big thing. This was a big thing. So your sound is a bit echoey. Ooh, that's not good. Why is my sound echoey? I don't know. I've only got one sound source, and it's this microphone, which I'm going to hold up here. I don't know why it's echoey. I don't know if I can do anything about that. I'm sorry. I can't see any reason why there would be another sound source that would be bouncing off this one. Or that giving like it. The camera's got a little mic in it. Not using that. Don't think anyway. I'm sorry about that. I'll move the mic a little bit closer to me. Yeah, come closer. Come closer. Come closer. Right. Are we all right? Sounds okay to me. Oh, it's okay. Maybe Miss Paula Thomas is listening from inside a very echoey room. Are you listening to me from inside a cave or an echo chamber? Echo chamber. I'd love to live in an echo chamber. Okay, so QAnon really emerged in the exploded into the public subconscious in October of 2017. This was about let's say 9 months into Trump's first term of office. And there started to become anonymous posts on 4chan, which is, imagine a bulletin board in hell. That's what 4chan is. Imagine Reddit if there were no Reddit moderators and it was just full of Nazis and scumbags. That's what 4chan is. Basically trolls. It's Troll Central. It's a Trollopolis. It's where all the trolls live. It's like a big bridge. It's like a big bridge. All the trolls live under the bridge, and they take tolls from anyone who dares cross their bridge. So anonymous posts started dropping on 4chan from a figure calling themselves Q, claiming they had high-level security clearance. The central narrative was that a hidden network of elites involved in child sexual exploitation, protected by government, media, businesses, and followers believed that Donald Trump was engaged in a secret effort to defeat this network, culminating in a mass arrest event known as The Storm. The theory evolved from earlier conspiracies, particularly Pizzagate, which falsely alleged a trafficking ring linked to Democratic figures. The movement relied on Q drops, which are cryptic messages interpreted online by influencers known as bakers. Master bakers, most of them. Core slogans included WWG1WGA, which stands for Where we go one, we go all. You know, like the Musketeers, but less literate. And references to being red-pilled, which has obviously made its way into the manosphere, which is somewhat ironic because it refers to a film made by two trans women. Yeah, so be all part of the manosphere. Yay. They said, after misinterpreting a film so badly, it really does injure me. It injures me how badly people interpret The Matrix. So how it spread? Basically, and it was initially concentrated on fringe message boards, but then QAnon moved into the mainstream platforms. It moved into mainstream platforms, including Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. Between 2017 and 2020, tens of millions of posts referenced Q-related phrases. Algorithms then amplified this emotionally charged content, as it does, about child protection and secret plots. Supporters appeared at Trump rallies. Q symbolism became common in his campaign and his environment in his rallies and such. And several political candidates publicly endorsed or signalled sympathy with Q narratives. No less than Marjorie Taylor Greene was one of them. Also, we had Lauren Boebert in the 2020 cycle, the election cycle in 2020. We also had politicians who didn't need to affirm every element of it, but they just repeated themes about corrupt elites, stolen elections, all this bullshit, which overlapped nicely with Q messaging for them. Trump amplified Q-linked accounts online and praised adherents as people who loved their country. The movement therefore moved from anonymous internet culture into visible electoral politics. It moved out of the basement of the internet into real life. This disgusting, cancerous monster. I'm just going to set up the confetti for today because I realised I didn't do that before I started. So I'll just do that now. There you go. That's done. So there was obviously criminal and security concerns. The law enforcement were increasingly associating the ideology with risks of radicalization and people doing daft things with guns. The FBI warned in 2019 that conspiracy movements like QAnon can motivate domestic extremism. QAnon adherents were involved in incidents including armed standoffs, kidnapping plots, and were quite notable in their participation in the January the 6th Capitol attack. After January 6th, major technology platforms such as Facebook and Twitter at the time, and this one on YouTube, they banned Q content. And the prophecy problem was that the Q predictions repeatedly failed to occur, even though Donald Trump was president. It's a bit like people who still believe they're aliens, and the US government is still covering it up. Like, wouldn't Trump say something? This is Trump, who is the guy. I mean, he's verbally incontinent. Like, he can't keep anything under his hat. Take when he stole the leader of Venezuela, and he was being interviewed on Air Force One, and he was just like, "We're there for the oil." And the reporters, because they're all giving him softball questions, asking him a question. But aren't you really here? Aren't you really here for democracy, right? Democracy, that's what you want to spread. And they give him the mic, and he goes, no, the oil. We're just here for the oil, basically. We're going to get the oil, and that'll be great. We just need the oil. And you think he'll keep quiet about aliens? You think he'll keep quiet about the conspiracy to shoot JFK or the conspiracy to kill Lady Diana for being too popular? God damn it. Do you think he'll just keep all that stuff under wraps? I don't think so. The arrests of leading Democrats did not happen because there's no evidence, and claims that Trump would remain in power after the 2020 election proved false. The Q posting actively stopped in December of 2020. Rather than collapse, the movement kind of fragmented and adapted, as lots of these cults do. But the beliefs migrated into broader anti-vax, anti-globalist, nationalist narratives. So, they didn't go away, because this kind of mentality doesn't go away once you are so enmeshed in that paranoid schizo world of believing that everyone's out to get you and that you're always the victim and you've never done anything wrong in your life and all this kind of shit. Those type of people. Like, there's no reasoning with them. You just reach a point where you just got to go, all right, do your own thing. Seriously, do your own thing. You've tried to, I'm sure people watching this have tried to talk to anti-vaxxers. There's no point. They're just miles away. They think that they'd rather be proved right somehow by not vaccinating their children, like literally putting their kids in the firing line for childhood diseases that can kill them. It's like, I don't know. I don't know. Absolutely fucking batshit. But yeah, Epstein's role inside the Q belief systems, this is quite interesting. So Jeffrey Epstein's crimes were treated by Q followers as proof that elite abuse networks exist. His connections to politicians, financiers, public figures reinforced the suspicion of institutional protection. Demands for client lists from the QAnon law and sealed documents became a central rallying point, as we saw earlier last year when empty folders were handed to some QAnon adjacent people and just told, just hang on, we're going to fill them with information at some point. And a few months later, they said, there was no list, there was no information. All right. Many followers expected Trump-aligned authorities to reveal everything once in power. But of course, they didn't do that. So it was this idea that Trump in his first term, for some reason, couldn't release all these files. I don't know what that reason was. And then he won the 2020 election, apparently, even though he lost it. And he was going to come back after 13 days. It's like the conformity gate people in Stranger Things. Do you know what I mean? It's like, no, that was the ending. No, there's going to be another ending, and this is going to happen. And then the door handle's on the other side, so it shows them in the mirror dimension. And I'm like, you're reading too much into this, mate. Trump lost in 2020. He absolutely lost in 2020. Some good news before we go on. Trump's DOJ, politicized DOJ, tried to go after 6 members of Congress who went on an advert telling people in the armed services in America that they should not follow illegal orders. And it's been rejected by a grand jury. So they're not going to be indicted because they just said, no, there's nothing here. Because they were just exercising their First Amendment rights of freedom of speech. That's Trump's first L of the day. I'm sure we'll have more before the day's out. But Trump didn't release everything once in power, and what's been released has been heavily redacted. And to the shock and the horror of all these QAnon twats, a lot of the people they revere, a lot of the people they look up to, Elon Musk, Steve Bannon, Peter Thiel, Donald Trump himself, apparently appears in the files over 1 million times, according to a Democratic lawmaker over in the States. Successive releases of documents pertaining to Epstein and individuals, successive releases of confirmed contact between Epstein and individuals across politics, academia, business, technology, and some figures who are long accused by conspiracy communities but notoriously absent from these document drops. But you know who wasn't absent? Donald fucking Trump, their fucking lord and master and hero. They got what they wanted, and it turned out that Donald Trump was very much involved in Epstein and whatever horrific stuff was going on this island. And reading into these texts and messages from Epstein, reading between the lines, because you're not going to say, hey, listen, we've done this thing to this child and now the child is now dead. We need to get rid of the evidence. Can anyone help me with that? You're going to talk about beef jerky or something. You're going to make code words, aren't you? Just in case one day in 10 years hence you accidentally get killed in a prison cell and all this information comes out. It's so fucking grim. Some people who are admired or defended within, some people who have been admired or defended within MAGA-aligned ecosystems appear to be very much in social or professional proximity to Epstein. Their names are appearing in the files time and time again. The disclosures did not reveal the clean partisan picture that many activists expected. There was an elite paedophile ring, and it was all Democrats. Turns out it was mostly Republicans, nearly all Republicans, with the possible exception of Noam Chomsky and who's that other gobshite, Bill Clinton. But then, you know, there's always this strain, isn't there, between expectation and reality. I suppose that's for anything in life. But you know, parts of the movement where they expect like immediate total transparency, all these documents dropping, but delays and redactions and the fact that the Congress really had to force this caused frustration. And when Trump described demands for further releases as exaggerated or politically motivated, supporters responded in mixed ways. I mean, some interpreted it as part of, you know, the strategy, you know, but others saw contradiction between promises to expose elites and the limited outcomes and the limited releases. And here's the thing. It looks like Epstein played a key role in the creation of QAnon. What a time to be alive. So my coffee is far too hot. I'm taking the top off so I can actually drink some of it. Newly discussed emails show Epstein met Christopher Poole, who is the founder of 4chan, in 2011. Around that period, the site developed a /pol/, which later became central to far-right organizing and became the birthplace of QAnon. Correspondents from Epstein's circle noted the platform's potential for mass influence and manipulation of dickheads. It's very easy to manipulate dickheads. Look at crypto. Look at AI. AI and crypto. My God, where do these things exist? To use energy. They're just energy vampires on a global scale. That's all they are. Nothing behind them. They don't work quite how they should. And they're wasting all this computing power. Instead of finding a cure for cancers, they're using it to make shit memes. AI slop. You had two tabs running at once, says Miss Paula Thomas. Oh, that's okay. That's okay. Let me worried then. But you know what? It's good that you let me know in the chat if things aren't perfect, because otherwise I have no way of knowing. Moya Man, thank you very much for the £4 super chat. That's very kind of you. Kicking off the super chats for the morning. I don't know why that didn't register. We're still on 0 out of 5. Why are we still on 0 out of 5? I don't know what's happened there. 5 super chats, all the colours. I don't know what the problem was. Why didn't that go through? I don't. Is that because it's a super sticker? Does that not count as a super chat? God, they're finicky, aren't they? Anyway, so like I say, there's no evidence in released material proving that Epstein actually personally created or directed QAnon. However, the coincidence of him meeting up with Christopher Poole just before he starts the poll bit of 4chan, which up to that point had just been, you know, horrible memes about women and disabled people. The coincidence has intensified scrutiny on how these online ecosystems develop and who benefits from them. And if we look at the Trump playbook, it is accuse your enemies of that which you yourself are guilty. I think this was taken from one of those Nazis like Goebbels or Goering or Himmler or Hitler, I don't know. One of them said, always accuse your enemy of that which you are guilty yourself. And Trump has taken that and run with it. Everything he says is something that that he's done himself. Everything he accuses others of. The man is not a businessman. He's just a gangster. He's just a fucking gangster. He runs the government of America as a shakedown operation, as a protection racket. It is the craze all over again, and that's what some people want in this country. They want to bring the craze back in the form of Nigel Farage to shake down all these people that they feel deserve to be taken down a peg or two. Not the billionaires, not the nepo babies, not the neo-aristocracy, but me and you. We're doing all right, because there's a bit of happiness left in our hearts. There's a bit of joy, there's a bit of hope, and they want to take that from us. That's what these fuckers want to do. But the question I've got to ask today is, where did the movement go? Like, where did it go? The public visibility of the Q branding has declined precipitously since 2021. Q ideas persist, but have been often absorbed into broader populist narratives rather than being labelled QAnon. And messaging now tends to emphasise distrust of institutions. It's not new. Border fears, cultural threats, electoral suspicion, anti-vax, homeschooling, the score. But, former believers split between disengagement, reinterpretation, or radical, or deeper radicalization. It's quite interesting that the QAnon shaman has rejected the philosophy now of Q and has distanced himself from Trump, the guy who pardoned him for his crimes. Miss Paula Thomas, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. There is also or was 8chan, which is was worse. Yeah. It was just a meeting place for the gobshites of the internet. In some ways, this channel is kind of like the diametric opposite of that. Do you know what I mean? It's like, this is a nice place for nice people who just want to be nice and just want the best for everyone, except for the multi-billionaire gobshites who are making our lives a misery. They can all go to hell. But for the vast majority of people and for our communities and our society, we want the best. And we don't allow people to make slurs, ableist slurs, or misogynistic slurs, or transphobic slurs. We don't allow it. That doesn't exist here. With a nice bit of the internet. Or I like to think with a nice bit of the internet. Or at least we're trying to be. We're trying to be. And this silence, from QAnon, it kind of matters politically because a movement built on exposing elite abuse at this moment in time, to see it silenced now instead of, like I say, climbing to the highest mountains and screaming, we were right, there was an elite paedophile sex ring running everything in the world that had its greasy little tendrils in the politics of Sweden and Norway and Slovakia and the UK as well as America. Like, India. There's been a minister in India who's had to resign because of the associations with this fucking creep, Epstein. Well, here we go. The hero narrative has disappeared, and this is the thing with conspiracies. Once they're proved true, they stop being interesting. They stop being cool. That's why conspiracy theorists are never interested in the fact that 80% of the transphobic groups in America are funded by the fucking oil companies. They're not interested in that because it's publicly available information. They want stuff that they've just made up themselves, and they don't want to be proved right because it destroys the fantasy. It's a bit like a sexual fantasy for these people. It sounds good in their heads, but if they actually tried to do it in real life, it would probably go horribly wrong and wouldn't be much fun. They're a bit like that. And politicians who previously courted Q-adjacent voters now face fewer incentives to repeat their explicit slogans. And now that Trump is back in power, they've got what they wanted. But isn't it interesting that they got what they wanted, Trump back in power? But at the same time, they also got what they wanted with these documents being released, but instead of crowing about it, they're just all hidden away or moved elsewhere to go off on one about other mad shit. I mean, they've got a guy who's an anti-vaxxer in charge of the fucking health system in America right now, and he's dialing back on vaccines for vulnerable young children to make it so that we go back to the days where a huge number of children died before their 5th birthday. Talk about Queen Anne of Britain, the richest woman in that country at the time. She had 18 pregnancies. 18! And not one of those pregnancies ended with a kid who passed their fucking 5th birthday. Most of them ended in miscarriages, and the ones who were born died. Because she had access to the top medicine at the time. But you know what? Nature wants you dead, mate. Stop thinking that nature's your friend. Stop talking about Mother Nature. It's motherfucker nature. I'm not saying we should concrete over the fucking Amazon to get our revenge or something. But, there is an arms race going on between us and the things that want to kill us. And there's many things out there that want to kill us because that's how fucking natural selection works. You can't fuck if you're dead. Then you can't pass on your genes or whatever daft shit you did that resulted in you dying before, breeding. I'm guessing that the idea is, or the consequence, because there's no idea behind evolution, it's just a consequence of evolution, is that you don't pass your daft genes on to your daft kids because you don't have them. But yeah, what remains true regardless of ideology is the wealthy and connected individuals can get away with fucking murder. Literally, reading between the lines in the documents that have come out, it does look very much like these motherfuckers killed people and got away with it. They killed kids and got away with it. And legal processes involving powerful figures move slowly, often ending conclusively. Obviously, powerful rich people can engage in lawfare to silence any critics. Survivors frequently struggle for any form of accountability. As Mike and I were talking last night, in the UK, for serious crimes of sexual assault and rape, there is no statute of limitation. So if you committed a rape in the 1960s, you can be done for it. In the same way that in Germany, there is no statute of limitation on being a fucking Nazi during the war and running a concentration camp. Why would there be? Like, whose interest does a statute of limitation fucking help? But in America, depending on which state you're in, the statute of limitation on sex crimes can be as little as 3 years. 3 years. So if you're abused as a 7-year-old, you've got till your 10th birthday to actually tell the authorities and for them to actually gather the evidence. And the reality is, it just doesn't work like that. People bury the trauma of what's been done to them right down. It takes decades for many people to come forward and admit what's happened to them. Because that's just the way our human brains work. When something really fucking traumatic happens, a lot of us just clam up. We don't want to deal with it. We don't want to think about it. And we shouldn't feel ashamed about that. It's just basic human psychology. But why the fuck in America is there a statute of limitation on child abuse in some states? I know that's been dialed back now in a lot of places, but it still exists in some little pockets in America. Statute of limitation on a crime, on a capital crime like that, on a crime that most normal human beings find absolutely fucking abhorrent. And why is that statute of limitation there? Can we just talk about this for a moment? It's there because of the Catholic fucking Church, which has billions at its disposal, was accused in the 70s and 80s of a multitude of offences across America, particularly in Boston, where children were being abused and these priests, these paedophiles, were being moved from diocese to diocese. They weren't being taken to task even by the Catholic Church. They definitely weren't being taken to task by the justice system. They were just being moved to pastures new so they could go and start their abuse cycle again. This is fucking disgusting. If it was McDonald's, if it was Starbucks, we would never fucking go into one of their pissy little restaurants or coffee shops ever again. Would we? Come on. If they did that, if we knew that fucking, I don't know, KFC paid billions of fucking dollars to lawmakers to bribe them to make sure that there was no change on the statute of limitations on sexual offences towards minors, wouldn't you be like, I'm not going there? Okay, fucking Kennel can go fuck himself. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But yeah, and I am aware that in many states in America, and the vast majority now, that the statute of limitation on child sexual offences has been lifted entirely. It is now anytime, but still in many cases, in many states in America, you have, first of all, still a statute of limitation on sexual crimes committed against adults, and that can include teenagers. Don't forget. Depending on where you are and what the age of consent is in that particular state, because it changes. And here's the thing. In some states in America, there is no minimum threshold for getting married. if your parents consent. Still, to this day, fucking disgraceful. So the key takeaway I want you to take from all this is like QAnon succeeded because it combined genuine anger and mistrust of elites with and you know, upset about inequality. 50 families in this country have more wealth than 50% of the population put together. And this is the end stage capitalism state that we're in now. Because for all these little fuckers like Jeff Bezos laying people off on his, Amazon or the Washington Post, or whether it's Elon Musk gutting Twitter so they can put rockets into space and all this kind of stuff, it's not enough for them to be the most richest man in the world. They've got to be even richer. They've got to be even richer. It's not enough for them to win. Everyone else has to lose. And the QAnon successfully tapped into that righteous indignation about that equality and also suspicion that the elites might be getting away with paedophilia, with murder on their private island in the Caribbean. QAnon was half right. But here's the mad thing. There's a good chance that QAnon was started by the very people involved in these paedophile rings to do what the Russian government have been doing for years, which is hypernormalization. It's just trying to get people to not be able to follow one narrative because it's all too confusing. And when people are confused, they shut down. It's a great line from Alfred Hitchcock, saying about how an audience that is confused is not an audience that's entertained. I think that's very true. I think we have a natural instinct to fly from complexity. When something looks a bit too like, oh my God, when you start a new program on a new app that you've never used before, and you've got all these fucking icons and you don't know what they mean. And there's a bit of fear, like, do I press that? Do I press that icon? Because if I do, I don't know what's going to happen. Most of the things that I've learned on Photoshop over the years have just been happy accidents. I've accidentally pressed something on, oh, is that what that does? Honestly, I've been using that fucking program now for nearly 30 years. 30 fucking years. I'm still finding new things on it. But yeah. But when these sort of movements emerge, like QAnon, in the depths of the internet, the last thing they want is to be proved right. This goes to show that now, when, like I say, they should be crowing about it, they're suspiciously quiet, and I think that's because the people who found it know that. The founder of 4chan has links to Epstein. The founder of 4chan is in the Epstein documents. They definitely met up in 2011 after Epstein had been found guilty of paedophilia and put in jail. This was a convicted paedophile at this point. And then we have all these fucking nutters turning up going, protect our children, protect our children. And then they find out that it's the right wing, their friends, their people, friends, the people they respect, the people they have this psychotic relationship with, one-sided, unrequited love for. It turns out it's them in the files. It's them who've been driving this, and that freaks them the fuck out. Kind of crazy, kind of crazy that we got all the way here, and it's all come full circle, really, hasn't it? So yeah, really, really grim, really grim, and I'm sorry for Chris is in the chat saying it's very difficult to deal with. It is, it really is, and I'm sorry, Chris. And if you need to take time to for yourself, then please do that. And the last thing I want to do is make people feel like they have to watch this stuff if they don't if they find it triggering. You don't. In the same way that you don't have to look at images that are graphic to know that child abuse is wrong, or shooting someone in the street is wrong, or animal abuse is wrong. You don't need that. You don't need that. Miss Paula Thomas, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. Greatest line I heard on any TV show numbers was, take it from someone with more than enough, it's never enough. Yeah. Well, there's that famous line, isn't there, by Kurt Vonnegut, I think it was, the author of Slaughterhouse-Five, when he was at that party in the 80s or something, you know, at some billionaire's mansion, and him and his mate were looking up at a picture that, you know, he bought for billions of fucking dollars, and he says, and his mate said to him, you know, doesn't it bother you, you know, even though, you know, your books are bestsellers, you'll never have this picture on your fucking wall. To which Kurt Vonnegut is said to have said, I've got something that he'll never have, that billionaire. I was like, what's that? Enough. But yeah. There's one thing that the QAnon, I mean, conspiracy theorists in general just fucking can't stand, and it's facts. These people are fact averse. And do you know what? Even if the facts marry with their narrative, they end up rejecting it because they don't want to believe anything is real, anything is true. They want to live the fantasy. They don't want it to be true. They just want it to be, you know, something they can get excited about, you know. And it's really fucking grim. Okay, I'm gonna try and Vonnegut was a genius. The other great line that I absolutely love, that was supposed to have been said by Joseph Heller in an interview, I think in the 90s. Maybe it was when Closing Time came out, which is the sequel to Catch-22. And he was asked if he was bothered that he's never written a novel as good as Catch-22. To which he replied, it's okay. You know, subsequently, after Catch-22, how come he's never, you know, doesn't he feel bad that he's never written a novel that is as good? And he says, no, that's all right, because no one else has either. Fucking love that. The rich are like Homer in hell. If you like donuts, do you then have all the donuts in the world? And like more. Yeah, I know exactly what you're referring to. Ernie says, when is a criminal not a criminal? When they are a customer, or when you can get something from them. There's none so blind as those who look the other way. Yeah, I agree. It's just, look, at least those documents are out there. Some good might come of this eventually. I don't know. At the moment, I'm feeling like the way that America in particular has responded to this document drop has been to say it's been a week is I think a little bit underplaying it somewhat. I mean, it's been beyond weak. I mean, we're talking about American lawmakers who know that people are in these documents being able to do fuck all about it. And you've got the Democrats are coming out and saying, look, there's loads more documents. Donald Trump's in these documents, you know. We've got names, we've got times, we've got we can prove that they've been lying. They said they had nothing to do with Epstein after it was found out that he was a massive paedophile. But it turns out that there absolutely has been contact right up to in some cases, the year he fucking died. You know, he was murdered in hospital. And, you know, one of the other things is, which is kind of like maddening when we talk about conspiracy theorists and stuff. It is like, how come you've got a guy who was a prolific paedophile, and we've got all these documents, and Trump's name is in these documents at least 30,000 times that we know of, according to some Democrat lawmakers. He's in there a million times, right? So this guy dies in jail, just kills himself, Who's president when he kills himself? Was it Obama? Was it Biden? No, it was Trump. The guy whose name is in these documents thousands and thousands and thousands of times. Why aren't the conspiracies going fucking mad about this? Usually, conspiracies are like, oh, a famous person died. That can't be real. How could a famous person possibly die? In a car accident? I mean, come on. A car. Why? Famous people die every day. Famous people are just as mortal as the rest of us. And there's no reason to think that anyone, just because of their fame, would be taken out in any particular way. I once spoke to a conspiracy theorist who was convinced that Steve Irwin was killed by a crocodile. But they made up the narrative and faked the footage, I assume, of him being killed by a stingray because it would have been embarrassing for him to be killed by a crocodile. And I'm like, okay. Doesn't make any sense to me, but what the hell? What do I know? Well, here we have a twice convicted paedophile in jail, in a holding cell, right? In jail, or in a cell. And Trump is the president. Trump's in all these documents. Trump was an associate. This guy can take down Trump. This guy has the knowledge. He has the connections. He has the little black book or whatever it is that can take down the president of the United States of America. And he kills himself in jail. So, whereas I'm not going to sit here and tell you that all these famous people just can't possibly fucking just die because that, we're all mortal. I am going to say there is something distinctly sus about that. Where are all the conspiracy theorists? If Biden was in these documents a million fucking times, right? And Epstein had died in jail under Biden's watch, not under his watch, but under his presidency. Could you imagine what they'll be saying right now? Could you imagine? So here's what I think we need to do. I think we need to start amplifying these conspiracies. I think we need to, take what we know. Trump in the Epstein files. Epstein can take down Trump. We know that because look at the files. He had the info. And he died in jail. And for some reason, the CCTV camera was turned off. There was a CCTV camera in his cell. It was turned off. Is that not sus? They provided the footage and there was a minute missing. And it turned out that it had been edited twice using Adobe Premiere. Is that not suspicious? Does that not raise any alarm bells in the QAnon people? And this is the problem, right? I think there's a very close connection between the amygdala? Like, there's a part of the brain that basically, if you're right wing, the shape of your amygdala is different or something because you're more prone to fear and you're more driven by fear rather than love or respect or society or just all getting along. And I think because of that, those people who aren't driven by fear find it very difficult to go down these rabbit holes and go, I can see that Epstein was probably murdered at the behest of Trump, who was president at the time, because Epstein was the one person who could take him down. The one person on the planet who could absolutely destroy everything for Trump and therefore destroy everything for all of the billionaires, all the oil companies that back him, all the Saudi fucking sheikhs, all of the, the gobshites on the far right who want to create a Fourth Reich in America. These are people who you think, well, they've got a lot of power. They've got a lot of sway. And Trump is their talisman. Without Trump, they're nothing. Without Trump, MAGA goes away. All this goes away. He's the only one holding it all together because he's a celebrity and Americans love a celebrity. He's their tag team fucking wrestler. He's their fucking kayfabe fucking king. JD Vance isn't. Stephen Witkoff isn't. Marco Rubio isn't. None of them have the appeal of Trump. I mean, I find him appalling, not appealing, but that's just me. And when you got like Howard Lutnick, the U.S. Commerce Secretary, yesterday, admitting that he went to Epstein's Island in front of Congress after making this. He did this interview a while ago. This is a Commerce Secretary for Trump. He did this interview where he's like, once I learned about the disgusting nature of this vile predator, Jeffrey Epstein, I never went anywhere near him ever again. It was one and done. That's the word to use. One and done. Turns out he visited there in 2012 with his 4 children and their nannies, because he's very rich. And this only came out because the files, he was mentioned in the files with Epstein's assistant writing, we're looking forward to visiting you. Sorry, Lutnick's wife, Alison, writing to Epstein's assistant saying, we are looking forward to visiting you. We'd love to join you for lunch. So, I mean, all of the stuff we need to create a really convincing narrative, conspiracy narrative, with Trump as the fucking spider in the middle of the web, is there. It's just, is there the appetite on the right to fall for it? There might be, because Trump's got everything he wanted. He's no longer the underdog. He's no longer the put upon person. He said to his followers, they're really after you. I'm just standing in the way. Oh, really? Are you? Are you Trump? You're standing in the way of what? Standing in the way of lower grocery bills, lower heating bills, or the cost of living crisis being resolved. Is that what you're standing in the way of? With your fucking tariffs and your economy that's going on a road to fucking nowhere? It's all based on fucking AI and hype. Yeah. So, in the chat, we've got anyone else think Tim Bradby on News at 10 should be less opinionated? He's always giving sighs and eyebrow raises, etc. I don't remember Sandy Gall or Alistair Burnett pulling faces. Yeah. I once got into trouble in school for Mr. Ling. Mr. Ling pulled me into his office when I was in school because I used to get the Bible readings, because I'm a good public speaker. Oh, halfway decent public speaker. I used to do the Bible readings in assembly, and I was pulled into his room and told off. Do you know what for? For reading the Bible in a sarcastic tone of voice. And that's the best thing that I was ever really hauled over the coals for. Because I got to go, well, it is a bit silly, isn't it, sir? A bit. Yeah. So yeah, we'll head over to the papers now. What would people say? They're building more camps. Yeah, the fucking the camps that they've set up, these tented cities for tens of thousands of people who are all stuck in limbo in the most unsanitary, disgusting conditions you can imagine. Absolutely on a par with the concentration camps of the Nazis. Absolutely. You are a great speaker, Graham. Oh, thank you, Oliver. That's very kind of you to say. But yeah, I did get in trouble for saying it. Sarcastic. And Lord Wolfston, the Stato AG, is acting for DP World's Russian subsidiary on a London commercial court. After that, Abramovich. Yes, that after Abramovich. So Lord Wolfston, who is advising Kemi Badenoch at the moment, thanks Bolskov for reminding us of this. DP World is Dubai Ports World. They own a lot of fucking ports around the world. They make a lot of money from it. And there's a Russian subsidiary of it because the subsidiaries all over the world, DP World. So they're one of the biggest companies you've never heard of. And this guy is representing the part of a Dubai Russian consortium while advising Kemi Badenoch. He's also advising Roman Abramovich, who we're trying to get £3 billion out of his frozen funds to give to Ukraine. Their client list is interesting, indeed. An Irish bloke has been in the concentration camp in America for 5 months, married to a US citizen, been there 20 years. Yeah, I was talking about this yesterday, I think, about this Irish detainee. His name is Seamus Cullerton, and he's been held for 5 months. He says it's torture. There's been Cullerton entered the US in 2009 on a visa waiver program and overstayed the 90-day limit. But after marrying a US citizen and applying for lawful permanent residence, he obtained a statutory exemption that allowed him to work, and the detention prevented him from attending the final interview in October for his green card that would have confirmed his legal status. There you go. I just find it really kind of it's upsetting on many levels, this, but like the fact that it's an Irish guy, it's a European, he's white, and he's being held in these conditions. He says, you don't know what's going to happen on a day-to-day basis. You don't know if there's going to be riots. You don't know what's going to happen. It's a nightmare down here. The showers and toilets are filthy, and daily meals were child-sized. So everyone is hungry. He said he appealed to on Irish authorities to intervene. My own family in Ireland is also suffering. My mother especially. Now, I just want you to have a think just for a moment. Imagine if we did this to an American citizen. Because there are a lot of American citizens who come here, a visa waiver or whatever, and they overstay. They just fucking stay here. Imagine if we took that person and put them in a fucking camp in Portsmouth in unsanitary conditions, violent conditions, gave him child-sized fucking portions of food. What would America say? Would they be like, oh yeah, whatever, I suppose he probably shouldn't have overstayed his visa? Or would they be screaming for us to give them their citizen back and to stop torturing one of their citizens for what is a misdemeanor? This isn't even a crime. It's not even a crime. This is something that you got to really understand here when people talk about illegal immigrants and stuff like that. This is civil stuff, right? This isn't like criminal. You might get deported, but you haven't actually committed a crime by overstaying your visa. The best we can do is deport you. The worst we can do is put you in a concentration camp for 5 months. Especially when you've been somewhere for 15 years. The head of DP World was named by Ro Khanna in the Congress yesterday as one of the 6 people the FBI had redacted in the files Mandelson lobbied in 2009 for them. Yeah. This is all tied with Saudi and Dubai. All of it tied in Qatar. They're the people who really run the world. And while we're doing these conspiracies, maybe we should write this down. Let's start a fucking conspiracy site, but it's kind of like left-wing conspiracies, but it's based on what's really going on, and make it really juicy. Do you know what I mean? Make it sound like a cross between Pop Bitch and QAnon kind of thing, where we drop hints about who did what and when, because we can actually put like real stuff that's really happened in there. It could happen to my brother-in-law then. Only his money could save him, says Bad Fairy. I think in America right now, money's not going to save you. Being white is not going to save you. The only thing that's going to save you is getting the fuck out of America right now. Right now. Get the fuck out. Okay, so we're going to go over to the papers now. Sultan Ahmed bin Sulayem, sorry. Yeah. Isn't it funny how Nigel Farage and Richard Tice, they love a bit of Dubai, don't they? They love a bit of Dubai. Do you know who else loves a bit of Dubai? Tommy Ten Names. Tommy Ten Names loves a bit of Dubai as well. It's funny that, isn't it? Funny how things turn out. I refuse to counter disinformation with more disinformation. No, but you wouldn't, Gallifreyan Ren, it'd be true. It's all the stuff that they're actually doing. but it's the way you present it. You don't do a document drop of 3 million documents. You drip feed it. You go, God, you're not going to believe what's going to be revealed tomorrow. And people go, oh, what's going to be revealed tomorrow? And then you pick something that's actually true. But when it comes to like fighting disinformation with disinformation, on another topic, I guess, because I wasn't talking about doing that, but I'll probably be up for that as well at the moment. I mean, our back's against the fucking wall. This is the problem. Like, disinformation gets around the fucking world before the truth has got its pants on, and the truth is behind a fucking firewall. The internet is just flooded, absolutely flooded with bullshit. Oh yeah. Boycott the World Cup. I will be doing that again for the third time in a row, boycotting the World Cup. More than 30 people have died in them camps. It says bad theory. Yeah, I think it's going to get even worse than that as time goes on. Did you see the senators leaving the unredacted files viewing MAGA reps physically shaken when leaving? Yeah. There's some really fucked up shit in there. There's some really fucked up shit in the Epstein files. Really, really fucked up. You can imagine, like, as bad as it gets. As bad as it fucking gets. But yeah, let's go over to the Mirror over here and the Times. The Times, because we can remember the times when Uncle Bulgaria wasn't behind the mirror. Knives epidemic in our schools. Leo was a gentle and kind. The heartbreak will never end. This is a kid who was stabbed to death in school. 2 boys, 12 and 13, stabbed, and a lad 13 is held on the same day as Leo Ross, stabbed to death. And, just fucking grim stories. But listen, right? Let's be serious here. This kind of thing is really fucking rare. That's why it's front page news. If it wasn't rare, it wouldn't be front page news. It's like in America when they have a massacre. Because it happens every fucking day, it hardly tilts the news needle. But if a massacre happens in Canada, that's newsworthy because it hardly ever fucking happens. So yeah, the fact that this is unusual should give us a little bit of hope. And violent crime overall is down. Not that the newspapers will make you feel that way, because obviously the newspapers have a vested interest in keeping you scared all the time, because scared people make bad decisions. And then we've got Mandelson investigation will go back to Blair era. And we've got a picture of the lovely Jessie Buckley, looking delectable there in the lunch that they have for all the Oscar nominees in Los Angeles. And terror police called in after stabbing up boys at school. Get me out of here. Larry the cat looks like he wants out. And then we've got Daily Express here. Labour's taxes are shameful assault on High Street. Kemi Badenoch accused Labour of a shameful assault on High Street amid warnings that small firms face an apocalypse. And then we've got, is Melania the real star of the White House? I've never seen her in the White House, so I don't know what you're talking about. The Daily Mail over here, row over how to stack the dishwasher that turned me into a walkaway wife. So apparently, there's two types of ways that people stack dishwashers, and in every relationship, there's one person who stacks the dishwasher correctly, and there's another one who stacks the dishwasher like a raccoon on meth. In my relationship, I'm the raccoon. My partner has no idea why I put the things in the dishwasher where I do, but it makes sense to me. So yeah, arguments over the dishwasher made her walk away from her marriage, I guess. There you go. Okay, fair enough. Teen held for terror stabbing of boys 12 and 13 in class. A rampage in a London school. It sounds like the kid who did it may be Muslim, which is not particularly helpful. I mean, obviously, it's helpful for the right wing, for the people who want to sell have an agenda against Islamic people, against Muslims. The rest of us, it's really, really, really shit that this will be used as further evidence that we've been, that Muslims are dangerous, which is annoying and frustrating in equal measure, because we don't say that every time a white man is arrested for killing prostitutes with a hammer, we don't say, oh, there's all white men in it. All white men, that's what they do, innit? They're all like that. No, it's funny that. Okay, so we've got the Guardian over here as well. Streeting still intent on deposing PM despite United Front. And we've got at the top here, brutalism has come of age with the listing of London's South Bank Centre. Oh, yeah. The concrete fucking mess can go and fucking continue on to depress the living shit out of the next few generations as well. I suppose they may as well list it because it's not like they can ever knock it down because it's built out of the same material as a nuclear bunker. But, should we make this thing look like a cross between a Nazi submarine base and a nuclear fucking silo? Oh yeah, that'd be great. That'll look fucking lovely. Should we have all these really dark areas where it's really dark and you have to walk under concrete and there's pigeons over your head and it's all dark and dirty and it all stinks of piss? Oh yeah, that'd be fucking great. Fucking brutalism. Shit it. When I'm in charge, it's all getting fucking ripped down. Anyway, but aesthetics. Some people like it, Graham. Yeah, I don't care. Streeting still intense, so he's still got to go after it. There he is. Getting in the back of the car, which is weird because I'd expect him to be the inflatable guy driving the car. MEPs approve offshore centre for migrants. EU move closer to creating offshore centres for migrants and asylum seekers after centre-right and far-right MEPs united to agree on tougher migration policies. We don't need tougher migration policies. We need sensible and joined up migration policies. Boy 13 arrested after double school stabbing. Obviously, that's in the other papers as well. We've got the Daily Telegraph here on the left. We've got my husband left me and never told me why. Oh, that's very sad for Billy Burden, whoever that is. No, Bell Burden. Don't know who you are. The payment trick to knock 16k off your mortgage. Terror probe into 60 school stabbing. It'd be nice to have a mortgage, isn't it? All the way the Telegraph knows its readers, doesn't it? Tesco boss warns Starmer over worklessness. We've got PM saw proof of Epstein friendship. I'm glad I left Gorton's as Green candidate. Ambrose Evans Pritchard saying the Starmer Palace coup is a national disgrace. I mean, Tory adjacent and Tory voter type people talking about the national disgraces after they supported Boris Johnson. Bit rich. Europe can't rely on US, says ex-army boss. Yeah, I know. We're going to go on a little bit. We'll go on to the iPaper here. We'll come back to the FT. Starmer's ex-number 10 spin doctor loses whip over link to sex offender. So this is Lord Doyle's being suspended after campaigning for Labour. Councillor who is charged with possessing indecent images of children, which is fucking sickening. Streeting rebuked by defiant leader. And Granny knows best. Tough love parenting actually worked, much to my mother's delight. I fucking hate this. Will newspapers and pundits and influencers and smug wankers get through their stupid little fucking arrogant, egotistical brains the fact that every kid is different? And if you bring a child up using a one-size-fits-all fucking program that you read about on the internet or in the fucking fashion pages of a newspaper, you might really fuck them up. You've got to find out with your own kids. You've got to find out what works for you and what works for them. And each child is different. And just because something works for someone doesn't mean it'll work for someone else. We're all individuals. We're not the fucking Borg. Okay? I'm sick of this. I'm absolutely sick of this mentality that we have. That we have this fucking mad cure. I like coffee. I like coffee, so everyone should like coffee. No, fuck off. There are people out there who hate coffee. It's fine. Oh, I've got a cold. Everyone's fucking telling you all these different fucking cures for a cold. No, it's all right. I've had a cold before, and I did what I like to do. What you want to do is you want to get this, and this, put it in a witch's brew and stir it up, and then snort it up your nose, and put it in your ear, the fucking ear pipe or an ear candle. No, I found out in my almost 47 years on this planet. I found out what works for me. Funnily enough, no, I've got this miracle fucking cure. I've got this miracle thing. This is how you lose weight. This is how you stop smoking. This is how you raise your children. Stop it. Sorry. I shouldn't really be going on about this because it's actually the headline of this, which has wound me up so much. It said, it's because it says tough love parenting actually worked, and it misses off the most two important words in the English language. For me, it worked for me. Might not work for someone else. Also, how do you know? What if the smug parent there on mum's net being all transphobic and annoying? I do this for my child and that's why they're really great. How do you know that in 10, 20, 30 years' time, that kid may grow up to resent your tough parenting style and may want nothing more to do with you and may move to Australia and you may never see them again? Are you still going to be saying, oh, that tough love fucking worked, you know? And I'm not saying you have to make your kids your little friends. I'm not saying that you have to have that kind of relationship with them where you spoil them and give them everything that they fucking want. No, because then you'll end up with spoiled brats. You've got to find the balance and you've got to find what works for you. I don't know. I can tell you what works for me, but it's not, you can try it. Tough love parenting actually worked, much to my mother's delight. No confetti yet. You okay, Diz? Thank you very much to Sid. Well, we need another 2 super chats on top of your super chats in order to get it. Yes, global PTSD. Yeah. Sky has announced world first to bring together Disney Plus, Netflix, Hulu, and HBO Max alongside Sky's original shows as part of a single TV subscription. Ooh, that'll be interesting. I bring back breastfeeding, no need for a dishwasher. True tech, honestly, I mean, friends of mine who, for one reason or another, couldn't breastfeed. Like, they wanted to, but they couldn't. The shit they got off other mothers was fucking disgraceful. Absolutely fucking disgraceful. Oh, you give your kid bottle. Oh, they're going to grow up to be an idiot. Oh, they're going to grow up to hate you. Oh, they're going to grow up to be a serial killer. Like, it's fine. It's fine. You know? It's fine. One step closer to calm Diz down. Ooh, on 4 out of 5. This is very exciting. Graham, you've reached the point where you're dreading being 50 in a few years' time and it's starting to get to me. Only 3 years until I'm 50. Yeah. I'm not dreading 50. I'm not. I don't know if I'll make it that far. Had a 20-year-old mate at uni whose parents moved house without telling him. Jesus Christ. Wow. I had a friend in uni whose parents didn't turn up to their fucking graduation. They were absolutely gutted. Absolutely gutted. First person in their family to get a degree, to go to university and get a degree, and they didn't turn up to their graduation. I can't believe it. Yeah, hey, parents of the year. Anyway, we've got this mad story in the in the metro here. Home Alone menace is locked up, going down in flames. 7 years for drug dealer who filled house with booby traps, like our movie hero Kevin McAllister there from Home Alone. Congratulations, he says. Well done on getting this far. Now would be a good time to get something up for your grin and say goodbye to your loved ones. The gate is electrified in excess of 50,000 volts Enter at your own risk. Be warned. So this was a DIY drugs baron. What? A drugs baron who rigged his house with Home Alone style booby traps. Has gone to jail for looks like a quite a long time. But there you go. Yes, confetti as I can count to 5. We haven't. It's not been triggered yet. It's only 4. It's only 4 out of 5. One of the super chats didn't count for some reason. We need one more. Not being able to breastfeed when you want to is one of the most heartbreaking things in the world I've experienced. And my daughter, though my daughter's 15, it makes me cry when I think about it. Says SG. SG. I mean, I feel like I'm sorry, and I feel like society puts so much pressure on young new mums to breastfeed, and the fact is that lots of people can't, and it's fine. But you're not told that. You're made to feel bad about not breastfeeding, and I think that's really shit. I think that's really shit as a society to make you feel bad about that. You shouldn't feel bad at all. It's like people who feel bad about not being able to have kids. You shouldn't feel bad about it. It happens. It's shit. It's shit, but it's not your fault. And the way that some of these parenting groups go on about it, like it's the fucking be all and end all, is it's grotesque. To be honest with you, it's grotesque. I mean, especially if young mothers suffering from postnatal depression. Anyway, is this going to help? Is this no? You're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong. Fucking hell. Is your kid still alive? Okay, cool. It was all right then, wasn't it? Don't blink. I turned 65 in 2 months. I'm growing younger, learning to eat right after all these years, giving up alcohol, tobacco, firearms, glyphosate, grown food, sugar, and mean people. Says happy enough. Well, that's a way of getting happy, I guess. The milk formula is fine. Yeah. And a lot less painful in many respects. So yeah, we're going to go over to the. I just dropped a bit of coffee on my keyboard. Sorry. If mad things start happening, I apologise profusely. I don't mean for mad things to happen. So we're going to go over to the Financial Times here. I'm going to wrap up around 10:30 today because we have got Prime Minister's questions at 12 o'clock. It'll be a spicy one. I really, really recommend it. It'll be a spicy one. And also, we're going to be going down the rabbit hole, me and Rach, at 6 o'clock tonight. And we've got another special guest on this week. We've got Ollie Bowler Hatman, who's going to be throwing things in his own personal Room 101. Yeah. I'm hoping he picks things that are just a bit bizarre and random and not just stuff that everybody hates. But we'll see. We'll see. Lee Corn says, my wife wasn't able to breastfeed and stopped being able to express after about 4 weeks for both our kids, and it turned out fine. My son is 16 and nearly 6 foot tall, and my 13-year-old, yeah. This is the thing. It's like, I think there's a lot of things. And I think the part of this is the patriarchy. I know it sounds mad to say because it's often women telling other women that they should be doing it this way and not that way. But the patriarchy's fingerprints are all over this because they want women to suffer. It's the same thing with taking drugs when you're giving birth. The patriarchy wants the pain. The patriarchy wants to torture women. And the reality is, if it was an operation and you were having something done to you where you were having this 9-pound mass taken out of your body, yeah, you'd have all the fucking medication, you'd have all the fucking anesthesia you could get your fucking hands on. But because men, even if it's in case of a breached birth, they're like, oh, you shouldn't be taking drugs to, alleviate the pain of a baby coming out feet fucking first. It's a weird thing. It's a weird thing that humans do. And then the women who've gone through it afterwards are like, oh, it's great. I took all that pain and I survived. And I was and you're like, you didn't have to do that. I don't feel like you needed to do that. I feel like it was just fucking patriarchy. Blame a lot of things on the patriarchy, but yeah, women being put through horrific ordeals is definitely one of them. I'll tell you this now, if it was men who gave birth, they would be taking all the drugs. They'll be turning up at the fucking at the maternity or paternity ward, fucking off their tits on everything they could get their fucking hands on. They'll be on fucking pixie dust and PCP and fucking angel dust, crusty dust. They'll be on fucking heroin. They'll be on They'll be just on all there. They'll be on all the drugs. Man, I like that. Viper Scott has just dropped £2 in the Super Chat fund, and you know what that means? It means we're getting the confetti. Yes. Mr. Tisk says, I'm glad to be alive. Lost three close childhood friends at 19, 39, and 49. Those three will never grow old. I've lost friends, that I've known for years, people that I loved, and never gets any easier. Definitely all the drugs, says Tis. Oh, give me all the drugs. But yeah, I think that we need to be kinder to ourselves and to each other. And my whole shtick on this is, you know what? If it works for you not to take any drugs to give birth, fine. If it works for you to, take your contraception in such a way that means you still have periods, that's fine. That's what you want to do. The option should be there. But I really hate the fact that people are shamed about things that help them or the way that they do it, and people going up to them who've got nothing to do with them and saying you're doing it wrong. You're seeing it now with people who are getting Ozempic, and people are like, oh, you're not really losing weight. This is cheating. It's not cheating. Losing weight is fucking difficult. It is pain. It is fucking torture. All Ozempic and the other fat-busting injections do is it numbs the feeling of hunger. So you just don't eat as much. And obviously, if you stop taking it, you're going to pile the weight back on because that hunger doesn't go away forever. It'll come back and you'll want to eat fucking food. And so, yeah, some people might be on Ozempic for life. It's fine. It's fine. We get this with psychiatric medication as well. For some reason, we've got this idea that you shouldn't be on pills for the rest of your life. Why not? Why not? If you're fucking diabetic, you need insulin for the rest of your life. It's not you go, well, I've been doing it for a few months now. I really should stop. Why? It's helping you. It's making the chemical balance in your body for whatever problem you have. It's making it right. It's fine. Why do we shame people for taking medicine? Why do we do this to ourselves? Why do we have to? Well, it always sticks in my head. A friend of mine who worked with drug addicts in Manchester once said to me, that you get these heroin addicts to come and they'll give a talk. They've managed to kick the habit, and they're the best people to come. In some ways, they're the best people to come and talk to heroin addicts because they've been there, they know what it's like, etc. But they're also at the same time some of the worst people to talk to heroin addicts to try and get them off the addiction, is because whatever way worked for them, they are convinced that way will work for everyone else to get off that drug. But again, everybody's different. Everyone is different. And just because it worked for you doesn't mean it'll work for someone else. By all means, say, this worked for me and it was great. You can try it. But don't force them to do it your way. And if it doesn't work for them, don't shame them. Don't make them feel like shit because your thing didn't work for them. Stop doing this. We've really got to think about how we treat other people, how we make other people feel. I just wish there was a bit more kindness out there, World population would be about 30 people, says Anonymous. What if men gave birth? Yeah. Tell me about it. Lee Korn says, I'm on ADHD meds. It doesn't resolve all the issues, but it does make me less stressed and overwhelmed. It makes life better for those around me because I'm more chilled and less grumpy. Yeah. And it's working. It's taken the edge off. And I think that's great. That's absolutely fucking fantastic. I'm doing titration at the moment with my ADHD meds. And I started taking them just before I went to bed. And it gave me these really vivid dreams. And then I started taking it in the morning, which didn't seem to work very well for me. So now I'm taking them around lunchtime. I think I'm going to start taking them just before I go to bed. Even though they'll probably have worn off by the morning. But Do you know what the big difference for me was when I was taking them just before I went to sleep? Because of these really vivid dreams I was having, and it felt like I was in the dream world for like a long time, like days and days, possibly weeks, possibly months, I don't know. When I woke up, I was like, I wasn't knackered, but without them, like when I wake up in the morning, it honestly it takes me about half an hour to just for all my functions to start working. I'm just these people who jump out of bed, like spring out of bed and like, oh, lovely, and they get on with their day. I'm so jealous. I'm like, I'm not like that. But with the pills, I could be like that. And I'm like, oh, this is what it's like. This is what it's like to be a morning person. To go, hey, I'm awake. Woohoo! Off to do things. Off to take on the world. I'm like this for like half an hour. Oh, what day is it? What year? Oh. But yeah. Does your milkshake bring all the boys to the yard? Yeah, absolutely. Damn right. It's better than yours. I could teach you, but I'd have to charge. Insulin resistance from sugar-rich and high-carb diets and processed foods is an epidemic. I quit sugar and carbs 6 months ago and dropped 40 pounds by eliminating sugar and wheat, bread and chips, which is good. I'm glad that worked. You do seem more focused, says this. Really? Am I not going on all the same sort of tangents that I was? No, I think I am in some ways. I mean, I'm working with Hannah on her new project for her YouTube channel that she's working on with me, and also I'm working on a website for the Impressive Foundation, and that's going to be basically a load of your favorite content creators and creatives, all in. It's basically going to be a directory, so that people can contact them. So you'll have a photo, the name, what they do, and a little blurb about them, and then you've got their socials and then a contact button. So you can go on there and you'll be able to contact Phil, you'll be able to contact Max, you'll be able to contact me, you'll be able to contact Mike and others in our gang. And the idea being that people want to get in touch to ask one of us on their TV show to talk about some fucking politics or something, then it's an easy way for them to find us rather than the 97 different bloody ways of communication these days. Every time a new digital platform comes out, it comes with a chat. You can communicate. Great. I counted it up once, and I think it was like there was 27 different ways of contacting me online. 27 different ways. You could also send a letter to my house here in Durham. You could send a letter to my mum's in Liverpool. One time, someone sent a letter to me that just said, Graham Hughes at every country, Liverpool, England. And they sent it to me. And you're not going to believe this. It got to me. I've got to give fucking credit where credit is due, right? They didn't know how to get in touch with me. This letter came from Canada. And they sent it from Canada. And that was the address. Graham Hughes at every country, because that was my Twitter handle at the time. Liverpool, England. And it got to me because they sent it to the Everyman Theatre in Liverpool. The Everyman called me up after getting my details off Twitter. Or they contacted me through Twitter. Yeah, they sent me a message through Twitter saying, we've got a letter for you. And then I went to the Everyman and picked it up. True story. It's very hard to be uncontactable these days. Yeah, I'm doing a bit of work on that. The island stuff is moving forward, and hopefully I'll be able to. Cause just to explain, by the way, with the island, not only do we have to keep putting stones on one side of it to stop it going underwater, I can't run it as a commercial enterprise. So I can't run it as an eco retreat, a writer's retreat, or anything like that until I get this what they call a title for the island, and it's a multi-year process. It takes a very, very long time, but that's moving as well. So there's a few things in my life where I do feel like since the start of the year I've been a bit more focused. I managed to go, okay, I've got to do this, got to do that, got to do the other, and actually got shit done, which makes me happy. And yeah, when I buy powdered milk, and I do because I'm a milkaholic, I mix it double strength like they do with the booze, says Jute. A milkaholic. I've never heard of a milkaholic before. Milkshake brings all the tears to Farage. Very good. The Everyman is a great theatre for those who don't know Liverpool. It's fantastic theatre. The Everyman. We've been seeing a few good plays there. I went to see Fiddler on the Roof there a while ago. That's fucking great. Anyway, over to the Financial Times. We still haven't finished the papers. Sorry for getting off target there a little bit. We've got why airlines are weary of Heathrow expansion. Trump's loathing of London could trip him up. We've got death toll rise. Russian losses slow advance. Russian soldiers on the front line fire towards Ukrainian positions last month. A sharp rise in the number of men killed or missing in Russia's army has slowed offensive operations in some areas to a pace slower than the Battle of the Somme. In fact, it looks like some. It does look like some Ukrainians are taking back some land from the Russians, and one of the things that is a huge factor in this is that, so I'm told, I'm no military analyst or anything, but it's because the Russians have been cut off from the Starlink satellites, so their drones aren't as effective because they can't use the GPS. True story. Farage is going to be in a musical, Tax Fiddler on the Roof. Oh, that's good. I like that. For God's sake, don't read out mine, says L. Sorry. Farage needs to be in jail, says David. Absolutely. My mate's son Spike is one of the metal cutouts over the entrance of the Everyman. Oh, that's cool. That's very cool. There's if you go to the Everyman, there's all these panels above the entrance to the well, actually, it goes across the whole side of the building on Hope Street, and it's it's a cool little place, like the pen factory next door. That's a cool little place as well, whatever it's called these days. Liverpool's just a cool little place. If you're out on Friday nights, it's the Ash gig. Ash are playing Friday nights in Liverpool, so I think that Mike, if he can, he will be actually emceeing the Friday night social. So he's the M in the MC, stands for Mike's Club. So yeah, enjoy that while I'm out in Liverpool. We're going to see Ash with my old school friends, just like in 1995. We're old. Anyway, allies admit Starmer is too weak to stack Streeting after coup speculation. Health Secretary pledges support. Uneasy ceasefire descends. Cabinet ordered to buckle down. We've got Commerce Secretary Lutnick, as I explained earlier. Howard Lutnick reveals he had visited Sex Offenders Island in 2012 after his very vocal rebuttal of the idea that he had anything to do with Jeffrey Epstein. And then how Epstein broke into the house of Rothschild. Hundreds of the messages released by the US Justice Department lay bare how Jeffrey Epstein infiltrated the house of Rothschild. The sex offender cultivated ties with Ariane de Rothschild, head of the private bank of the Edmund de Rothschild Group, becoming a confidant as well as a key advisor. Yeah, the rich and powerful getting away with literal fucking murder. BP suspends buybacks in wake of green reversal. The energy group has become the first oil major to suspend its share buyback program as it ramps up its effort to bolster the balance sheet after an ambitious green energy push backfired. Swimming against the tide here. Swimming against the tide, BP, because we all know that at the end of the day, the green revolution is coming and you can't fucking stop it. Look at how much solar and wind power there is, not just in China, but in India as well. India is catching up. Oh my God, India is catching up. Electric rickshaws, auto rickshaws are becoming the flavor of the day. And it looks like, there is a revolution. There is a revolution, and you cannot stop it. Green energy equals freedom. Yeah, absolutely. Happy enough. I couldn't agree more. Wall Street investors dodge AI. Investors have piled into energy groups, supermarkets, and manufacturers this year, but in an anything but trade anything but tech trade that has powered a rotation in US stocks. Who said I was a good speaker? What? Buy now, pay later dividend. Sorry, buy now, see what I mean? Buy now, pay later diluted. Providers of the short-term lending will have to give shoppers less information before they borrow money than initially proposed by the regulator under rules taking effect in July. I think that's a very bad situation. Of course, they should give all the information they can about putting people into debt. School holidays queried. Martin Oliver, the boss of education watchdog Ofsted, has said that the length and timing of school holidays is pretty bizarre. Goldsmith backs Trump. Bank boss David Solomon has said Donald Trump is set to unleash more populist policies that will boost the economy and the bank's business in the run-up to the midterm elections. Oh, I'm glad someone's having a nice end of the world. Paramount sweetens bid. The entertainment group has sweetened its $108 billion hostile bid for Warner Brothers with a further ticking fee that will reimburse investors if regulators delay the deal. I really don't want the Paramount taking over Warner Brothers. It'll be an absolute fucking disaster. We've got McKinsey Asset Switch, and we've got new boss for Nikkei, largest business folk media group, as named Tayushi Hashibi as the new chair of the FT owner. Did you know that the only letter that Japanese words end in that isn't a vowel is N? So there you go. Beyond Petroleum. Yeah, says Martin Harrow. That is a perfectly apt emoji for this situation. I met Michael Caine, says Elle. He had a go at me for not following his instructions. Is that a good impression? One day, we will be here, and you will all look at me, and you will say, that is Michael Caine. And I'll say, no, it's actually Maurice Micklewhite. Not a lot of people know that. The EMPs would smash power station transformers. At least you can't. We're not caned by Michael Caine. Hey, it's too rude. What's too rude? I don't know. It's all too rude. Right, I'm getting off. It's been an hour and a half, so I'll be back in approximately an hour and a half to go through with you the pain, the trauma together of PMQs. We can do this. Come on. We can do it together. It'll be fun. It won't be fun. It'll be horrible. But like, at least we can go through it together. Last week, Kemi Badenoch played a fucking blinder. And essentially, she could argue in this one that after, saying that, getting Starmer to say that he stands with he has the utmost confidence in Morgan McSweeney, his chief of staff. Yeah, he left. So I'm sure she'll be making a lot of hay out of that. And also the fact that Anna Sanwa, the leader of Labour in Scotland, has said that he has no confidence in Keir Starmer and he should go now. And he went, who's with me? Like Joe Maguire when he quit. Who's with me? And no one stands up. Except Bridget Jones. Okay, I thought you were only supposed to blow the bloody doors off. Oh, you're only supposed to blow the bloody blokes off. That's a great line. I'm going to have to use that. Thanks for your company, folks. Take care and stay warm. Ta-ta for now. Hey, listen, 12 o'clock, PMQs. 6 o'clock tonight. Please join us. Me, Ollie and Rachel getting together to jump into Room 101. And we want your help. We want your help with it. We want you to vote of whether Ollie's selections go into Room 101 or not. And you can't join the chat unless you're already a member, unless you're already a subscriber of the channel. So please make sure you are subscribed and hit the bell notification icon. That's it. Until next time, I'll say thank you so much for watching. Give us a like on the way out. We like a like. Give us a thumbs up. And also consider joining the channel. You don't have to, but if you do, it just means a little bit of definite income coming in. It's only a few quid. Gives you a lovely little rose next to your name, designed by one of the top designers in the country. And after the show, you get your name in the credits when I update them. But until next time, I'll say thank you so much for watching. Hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.